coworker or a new networking connection is supposed to have coffee with you and lets you know the day before, hey, I had something come up last minute, I need to cancel. Most of us can tolerate it, give the benefit of the doubt. It's okay, things come up. Let it be a friend instead who needs to cancel. Hey, I know we're supposed to see a movie, but things got really, really chaotic. I am exhausted. I need to cancel. It might hit a little bit more, but we can maybe find some space for being able to tolerate that. But let your partner need to cancel or move plans. You're looking forward to an at-home movie night maybe, and they text you saying, I'm going to be back super late from work. I think that we need to cancel. Maybe we can do this next week. And boom, maybe you find yourself having an intensity of an emotional reaction, snapping, just feeling really, really activated by this in a way that you don't quite understand. That brings us to our central question today. Why is it that our partners or people that we are in long-term, very close romantic relationships with, why is it that they seem to be able to trigger us or activate our nervous systems like no other? These are supposed to be our most loving, caring, and closest relationships alongside our really close family and friend relationships. And so we would assume it's loving, it's caring, it's close. I should have a lot of space and capacity for understanding, for regulation, and for trust. But I have found as a therapist and just as a human walking around this world that partnerships and our family relationships are some of the areas where we've had the most trouble accessing nervous system regulation, and we are the most likely to be triggered, and that triggering is the most intense. So let's dive into why that happens. And if you are new to my videos, my name is Lauren Ludlow. I am a licensed clinical social worker, a licensed psychotherapist who specializes in mind, body, or somatic therapy. And I do a lot of work with clients in the areas of attachment and relational trauma, long-term, long-standing anxiety, and folks who would describe themselves as having been in survival mode for far too long. Maybe you have experienced this in partnerships or romantic relationships before. You are relaxing, watching your streaming service of choice or reading books together, and then all of a sudden you find yourself snapping or withdrawing or lashing out or having some big outsized reaction to what seems like a small something. Maybe they made a little comment. Maybe it was a sigh. Maybe it was a little tone of voice when they asked you a question, or a glance or a facial expression, but all of a sudden you're having a big reaction. Now your automatic response might be, there must be something wrong with me, or there must be something wrong with the relationship, or there must be something wrong with them, because this cannot be right. But it's very possible that none of those things are true. Look, if you are in a relationship that is characterized by nothing but chaos and conflict, then yes, that takes some real examining. But even in healthy relationships, it's possible to find that we have these moments when we're having outsized reactions, and it's not because you are inherently flawed or your partner's inherently flawed. It is because our closest and our most intimate relationships have the most potential to touch on our old wounds, adverse experiences, or traumas. Oftentimes we can have wounds, we can have adverse experiences, or we can have traumas that have been living below the surface for a very long time. We don't think about them. We don't respond based on them. They are old memories living in the back of our mind, and in most of our life, nothing pokes at them. But we get into a really close, maybe really loving, really connected relationship, and it's like bringing this big old stick into our life that's really good at getting below the surface and poking at those old wounds. And that's because of the closeness and the intimacy. The example that I gave earlier where, if a coworker or a new networking connection has to reschedule, we might care, but it might not impact us that much. If it's a friend, we could really care, we could really be hurt, but we're maybe able to have some space and extend some grace. But let it be our partner and we are blowing up. A lot of that is defined by the level of closeness we feel with the person, and therefore the expectations we have of them and the vulnerability we feel with them. Basically, the closer the relationship, the higher the level of intimacy, the greater the potential for pain and hurt, because the greater the vulnerability. We are more exposed in our most loving and trusting relationships. We tend to let our defenses down. We tend to rely and lean on the other person in ways that we normally would not rely and lean on somebody else. And that is not a flaw, it's just a fact of attachment and connection. The more that we share and intertwine our lives with someone else, especially if we're going into realms like we're sharing households, we're sharing finances, we are raising kids together, we are living in the present, and we are also planning the future together. The more that we intertwine our lives with someone, the more vulnerable we are with them. They have potential to be able to touch those old wounds because of that closeness and trust. Their words and their actions simply have greater impact on us and a greater ability to push us from the present back into old experiences and old traumas. For example, let's say that you grew up in a household where your bids, your reaching out for connection was often rejected. Maybe everyone in your household was so busy doing their own thing that when you reached out wanting some attention, some love and care, it just wasn't there. Maybe you lived in a household where being really, really separated and being very independent and not showing your emotions was very valued or very, very prized. So when you made those reaches out for connection, it wasn't there because emotional openness simply wasn't there. You might not think about these experiences very often in your day-to-day life. Your nervous system and your mind, they remember, even if it's in the back of the mind, the look on maybe your parent or sibling's face when you wanted to show them something but they were uninterested. Your nervous system remembers the sound of your parent or sibling's voice when you said, "I love you," or "I'm sad and I need a hug," and they said, "Toughen up," or "Be stronger," right? Your nervous system remembers all of these experiences. They're just not living at the surface of your day-to-day life because for the most part, we're living. We're doing our thing. We're focused on driving to and from work, shopping for groceries, preparing meals, responding to text messages. But our nervous systems, our minds and bodies remember these experiences. So let's fast forward in the present day. Maybe you're overall in a very loving and connected romantic relationship. But one day you say to your partner after they're home from a long day, "I would love a hug. It's so good to see you." And they sigh, right? And maybe they're sighing because they're tired. Maybe they're sighing because it's a long drive. Maybe they're sighing for any number of reasons. But that sigh, ooh, it really gets to that part of your nervous system that remembers the tone of voice from your parent or your sibling, remembers the look on their face when they express disinterest in extending care to you. That sigh, it is activating this network of old memories, these wounds, and your body might even respond the way that your body responded when you were young. If you got that kind of tight, shut down feeling in your chest, it might show up in the present moment because your nervous system isn't just responding to the sigh from your partner and what it likely means coming from your partner. It's responding to all these patterns from the past as well. It's like your nervous system is a smoke alarm, and the smoke is any sound, any facial expression, even a micro expression, any words, any responses from your partner that might remind you of experiences or patterns from the past that are painful and deeply ingrained in your nervous system. That is the smoke that your nervous system is detecting in that moment. So when your partner pulls away, criticizes, seems angry, even if you know logically overall the relationship is safe and secure and wonderful in many, many ways, that smoke detector responds as if there is a 5 alarm fire going on, even if it's really just a piece of burnt toast, right? Even if your partner is sighing because it's the end of a long day and not because they don't want to give you a hug. The challenging thing, and I hope that you will find this as freeing as you maybe find it upsetting, is that no matter how emotionally evolved or mature you are, no matter how amazing your relationship is, no matter how much inner work you do, all of your really close relationships will eventually hit some nerve endings, some wounds, some places within you that have been hurt in the past, whether it's way back childhood hurt or it's more recent hurt. Because your nervous system is great at recognizing patterns, because it wants to store information on all the times that you've been hurt and what led up to that hurt, so you can be on the lookout for it, your closest relationships are at some point going to poke wounds. They are going to hit those sorts of nerve endings. It is just going to happen. The great part of that is it doesn't mean that you're doomed. It means that you're human. And it doesn't mean your relationship is doomed. It means that it is a relationship that really, really matters to you. And it doesn't mean that your partner is responsible for fixing this, right? That your partner, just by transforming their behavior, can avoid hitting on these wounds. It is going to happen just by virtue of them being human. So we cannot look to the solution as, look, if I could really tell my partner all the things to do so that they avoid triggering me, that's going to be the ultimate solution. It's not going to be there. But on the flip side, it doesn't mean that all the responsibility is on you. It's very rare that we are able to just heal attachment and relational wounds all on our own. The healing usually has to take place in the context of relationships. We can do individual work, we can do inner work, but we're going to have to apply that inner work to relationships with another person who is caring and receptive and willing to help us out in our process in order for that healing to be more complete. So ideally, your relationship becomes a space where healing can happen for both you and your partner in the context of the relationship. In healthy, close connected relationships, we do say, I see your wounds and I want to help you heal. You see my wounds and you want to help me heal. Even though I am not the person who inflicted the wounds, even though the wounds might not be my fault or my responsibility, because I care for you, I want to help with and support in your healing process. And that works vice versa, right? So we are in our close connected relationships with partners. We are not saying your wounds, your business. We are saying your wounds, our business. My wounds, our business. Let's heal and work on these together and take responsibility for doing that so that we can have the healthiest, most nurturing, most fulfilling relationship possible because we matter as a unit. That is the attitude that we want to see in our healthy relationships when it comes to getting triggered. So each person is taking responsibility for themselves and their healing and also being part of each other's healing process as well. So here are a few things that you can do and explore if you notice that you are being consistently triggered by your partner. Your nervous system is being activated by your partner. Number one, learn how to co-regulate. Try to become experts on co-regulation. Outside of moments of this triggering, see if you and your partner can discuss what helps you to soothe? What can I do to help you to soothe in these moments? Is there something that I can extend to you, or is there something that you can ask for in these moments that I can be open to giving to you that is going to help us to regulate together? Co-regulation can look so many ways. Some couples co-regulate by joking or bringing a playful attitude to arguments, and that works for them because both of them are able to tap into humor. So they notice things are getting heated and they create an understanding that we're allowed to crack jokes in these moments. We're both okay with that. And that joke helps with co-regulation. Co-regulation can also look like extending a warm tone of voice to each other. So a couple can agree when possible and when it fits the situation that, hey, when we are getting upset and activated, I am going to do my best to really extend a warm and friendly tone of voice to you, or I would love for you to extend a warm and friendly tone of voice to me, and we can regulate each other that way. Sometimes co-regulation can also look like giving each other a loving or affirming touch. It can look like holding hands. It can look like an extended hug break and taking that moment to apply that firm pressure in order to soothe and regulate the nervous system a bit. But explore co-regulation outside of the moments of being highly triggered. Another thing that you can do individually is learn how to explore what those old wounds are and what those old patterns are, so that in the moment you can remind yourself of maybe what's going on and you can bring it up with your partner as well. So if you notice, oh, I had a really big response to my partner doing or saying that thing, see if you can notice, ooh, what was going on in the body? What was going on in my body when I saw that facial expression or when I heard them say that thing? And what does that sensation remind me of? What moment does it bring me back to? What pattern am I living in? If I'm not living in the present moment, if in the present moment my partner loves me and cares for me and was making that face because they were thinking about something, what moment am I living in? The more that we can get an understanding of what these patterns might be for us or what the old wounds might be, then we can tell ourselves in a moment of being triggered, ooh, oh my goodness, that's that, emotionally distant household wound, or that's that, second boyfriend wound, or, I know what that is. And you can also share with the other person maybe what's going on in the moment as well, so that you can better understand each other's internal worlds too. Another thing that you might need to do is develop a really good toolkit for things that pull you out of a high level of emotional activation. Really having a toolkit, a set of skills that helps you when you are really wrapped up in that activation to be able to take a step back or a step out. Maybe it is mindfulness skills for you. Maybe it is really using your eyes to look at what's in the room around you, name colors or shapes. Maybe it is taking a moment to feel the bottom of your feet on the ground and shift back and forth a little bit. Maybe you need to do some vigorous movement because you get a lot of tension building up in your body. And so jumping a bit or shaking or those sorts of things can help. But developing an understanding of what helps your nervous system in your body when you're in that highly activated state can be so helpful. Ultimately, this is not work that you have to do alone. I've seen so many clients make amazing progress through EMDR, for example, and identifying, ooh, this is the source of some of these attachment and relational wounds, being able to reprocess those memories and experiences so that they no longer live in their minds and their nervous systems as, this is danger, relationships are dangerous, I'm going to be hurt. But instead, they live in their mind and nervous system in more adaptive ways that free them to love and engage with their partner in a deeper way. Couples therapy can also be really, really transformative. If in these triggered and activated moments, you're finding that y'all don't know how to co-regulate, if you find that you're having trouble really getting what's going on underneath the surface for each other, then in couples therapy, you can really develop a clear vision of of what does the best version of your relationship look like? You can start to interpret and understand each other on that deeper level. You can discover the tools for what you want to agree and commit to doing for each other in these challenging moments. And you can practice that with a neutral party. That's one of the reasons why I love couples therapy, because it's not just even a neutral party, it's a party who's on the side of your good functioning, secure functioning as a couple, whatever that might look like. Someone who's able to give those insights and those interpretations. So both of those can be really effective tools as well. So if you find yourself being triggered in a relationship, you are definitely not crazy or broken or doomed. You are a caring human being whose most sensitive wiring is being touched on by a relationship that really truly matters to you. While it can feel overwhelming, it's also one of our most powerful spaces for being able to heal. Sometimes the places where we feel the most intensely are the places where we are able to find the most intense versions of healing. So thanks for sticking with me as we shared and learned about being triggered in relationships. If you want to learn more about your nervous system, how to show up in your relationships in the ways that you want to, and how to start to rewire the nervous system, check out the resources that I have below in the description and subscribe for more videos like this.